Hi and welcome to another episode of the Wappai's IoT Lab. In this episode we're again accompanied by Midagon, an independent expert consulting company, and we're talking about what makes a good foundation for any IoT project, why it is so important, and how CPQ could be utilized to make it even more successful. So I'm super happy to have Jukka Kauppinen from Midagon with me. So Jukka is an executive advisor, and Jukka, you have been involved in many IoT projects, and you've seen a lot of things, kind of good things, bad things. So what made them succeed and what fail, and what were the reasons? Could you share some insights with us?
Yeah, sure, Matthias. First of all, thank you for inviting me to discuss about this matter. So, a bit of my background. I used to work a fairly long time at IBM, and then in 2016 I switched over to Midagon to set up the Midagon digital services, especially for the industrial companies. And indeed, I have been involved in both good cases, but I have also seen horrible failures, and there's no dodging around it. I've been involved in both of them. So I think the big reason, or the big thing behind what makes certain companies very successful in developing and deploying digital capabilities is that unlike some of the most enthusiastic companies that were focusing on implementing only technical capabilities. For example, companies were putting a lot of money in understanding how to collect equipment condition data or process data, but somehow the big picture was forgotten. And with the big picture, I refer to combining the critical elements of capability development together. So if I try to simplify this, in a way, in any capability or new service development, the company needs to understand really well what are these strategic objectives that they're aiming towards. How does that impact the operating model? Are there some aspects that they need to change in the way they do business, sell or manufacture or conduct services? That will naturally have an impact to the key business processes. Naturally, that will have an impact also to the key platforms and IT systems that the companies are using to eventually leverage these digital capabilities or to provide services to their customers or ecosystem partners. Finally, the aspect that is quite often forgotten is data. So, of course, the systems, to be able to be used successfully, you need to have a good quality fuel, and if the data quality aspect is overlooked, naturally the systems will not work. The systems will not support the business processes. The business processes will not support the operating model and the strategic objectives. So the point is that the successful companies have been able to combine all these together in a good concept, and they have been able to implement the capabilities not only technically but also organization-wise and management-wise. Mm-hmm. That's probably one of the biggest factors between successful and failures.
Okay, wow. I think the data definitely seems to be a driving factor, obviously, for IoT, a lot of connected things. So, and you also mentioned or you hinted already at some best practices. So, that would definitely lead me to my follow-up question. So what should companies do actually to prevent all these things? And what are the best practices that you would recommend from your experience?
Yes. So let's take an example. So, for example, if there is an industrial company that wants to provide advisory or asset optimization or predictive maintenance capabilities, which many of them do, before they actually go on the market with a big bang, I think they should make sure that they have capabilities that they're able to manage install base information, so they actually understand what is it that they're analyzing, what is the asset configuration that the customer is currently using, what does the paper machine, or what does the forestry machine, or what does the any equipment, what does it look today, and only by making sure that they have a closed loop between the information and the actual configuration of the equipment and the analysis what they're trying to provide. That's how they prevent big failures. So that's how they're able to tell the customer, we know for sure what exactly we're analyzing. We know what you should do with that equipment to generate value for yourselves. That's one example from equipment or item and product data. The other aspect could be related also to supplier data or customer data. So in many cases, digital capabilities are being introduced to generate internal value and improve profitability, In a way, many companies, when they're developing capabilities to, for example, improve procurement processes, forget that in order that to run smoothly, you need to have also the item data, category data, supplier data also fixed, so that the automation understands, the machinery understands what are we talking about, and from whom can we actually order stuff to the factories, so that they're able to produce stuff for the end customers. So these kind of basic things, and they fall all under the category of master data management, data quality management, and for a reason or another, companies have been dodging a little bit this responsibility. So the most successful companies have been able to integrate data quality management, master data management, into their daily operational activities to make sure that not only do they fix the data once, but they're actually doing it on a constant basis to be able to deliver the services to the right customer, the right spare parts to the right location at the right time, etc. So these are the foundational things we're talking about.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. I think it's master data really one of the critical items along all this to make it actually feasible. And you have the garbage in, garbage out process. So we definitely see that also on the CPQ side. Do you have any experience actually and any thoughts on CPQ? So configure, price, quote in that context as well?
Yeah, well, funny that you mentioned. I think that's CPQs in a way are again on top of the surface. So everybody's doing CPQs at the moment. It seems that companies are willing to implement new sales capabilities really swiftly. They're willing to invest over there. What is often overlooked is the fact that the CPQ alone doesn't fix anything. You need to have a whole lot of other things in place. In a way, you could see that you need to have end-to-end capabilities of maintaining the offering and product data in good shape. And whereas the CPQ is a tool for sales, is actually an interpretation tool between the product management and R&D and sales, and from sales all the way towards the factories and to the procurement teams that eventually are responsible for running the operations. So if you do not have this integrated data model and integrated product structure to be able to convert the building blocks from the R&D and the business direction from the product managers to be easily understood by the sales, so that they can explain what exactly is the added value and what are the products that they're selling to their end customers. If they don't understand it easily, then of course the sales will not be able to succeed in their mission. But they also need to be able, once they make a commitment with the customer, they must be able to communicate what exactly did we sign the agreement with the customer. They need to be able to process that with the factories, and if the chain is broken, then the factories have to start from zero to understand what exactly do we need to deliver. So that's why the CPQ. I love that topic. But at the same time, I also hate it because a lot of companies, in a way, take it as granted that it's a sales specific activity. It's not. It combines all the key functions, all the way from product management, R&D, sales, delivery operations, but also the services. So now many of our customers are going through the second phase of service transformation via the digital transformation. So in order for them to be successful in the service transformation, they need to have a perfect visibility into the customer install base information. And this information is actually broken out unless we have this end-to-end linkage of information, in which the CPQ is one little but critical part.
Oh, I think that was really good. Yeah, I think we experience the same thing. I mean, we have Summium as well as a CPQ suite, and I think what's interesting also what you mentioned is that again, master data, same as IoT, being very relevant, very important, and I mean, especially when you want to bridge IoT and CPQ, kind of like make cognitive machines that order their own spare parts, own services. Exactly. I think in that way, I mean, you need to have the foundation right. And I really love your main pitch. I mean, get the foundation right and have the data in good shape, and then you can start building your processes and businesses. Let me ask you one challenging question. As a final one, I think the current times are really challenging. I mean, we have COVID, we have the Corona situation. So how does that affect actually businesses from your perspective? And how does that affect, the IoT landscape? How do you see, things happening there?
Well, yeah, this is a good question. So perhaps I can reflect back to my own experiences during the COVID era, so to speak. So by the time the COVID hit Finland and the Northern Europe with its full might during the first quarter of 2020. There were companies that decided to stall everything, to pull the plug off all the development activities. Not saying that's the wrong move, but there were also a lot of, perhaps a bigger percentage of companies that understood that maybe this is actually a good window of opportunity to actually implement and focus on the foundation, fix the issues that were left open before the COVID. And for the first time in probably in decades, the companies actually could invest the time from the very busy people who would normally not be available to actually fix the data, make sure that you have all the supplier data, you have install-based data, you have the item data, you have the product lifecycle management capabilities, CPQs implemented. So actually, if I look at how or what has happened, for example, to our company during the COVID. First of all, it's been great time for growth in terms of revenue, and it's been great time for profitability growth. So a lot of big business transformations have been actually pushed forward. And now the ones that decided to stall everything at the beginning of COVID understood that perhaps the COVID was not the end of the world, and some stuff still needs to be moving around, and they're still conducting sales actively. So they are actually now contacting us and saying that, hey, we decided to stop a couple of strategic initiatives back in the day, but I think now we need to get back on the track, and we're a little bit late from the schedule. So in a way, Corona times have been very eye-opening from many directions, and instead of saying that it has been miserable, I think that from a capability development perspective, it's been actually pretty good.
Yeah, I think those were really wise words, and digital transformation never sleeps, and I think the same we see. I mean, investment cycles getting shorter, more time to market, the criticality for actually having the proper foundation to build digital capabilities. It's definitely increasing. Well, Jukka, many thanks. I think that was this part of the episode. So I'm really happy you joined. I think this was really great talking to you. So all the best to you. And if you ever want to get in touch with an executive advisor that can really help you out with IoT and CPQ solutions, then please contact Jukka from Midagon.
Hey, thank you, Matthias. It's been a pleasure.